Good evening. I don't know if this angle looks good or not. I want to talk for a moment about conservatives and the culture war. There's been this thing with the Muppets, Gonzo, which I didn't even know anything about. I guess he's always been a non-binary character, and there's a scene where he's with his friends and he has a dress. And his friends were like, we were wrong to invite you to this event and like ask you to wear boy clothes. And he said, I don't want to just do things that have always been done that way. I thought that was so sweet. I thought that was so beautiful. And the conservatives have lost their stuff. Candace Owens is talking about we need to have the manly Muppets back and all this type of crazy stuff. And it touched me because that scene, to me, that's not pushing a homosexual agenda at all. That's saying you should accept your friends for who they are. And sometimes I look at stuff like that, it makes me smile because it is touching to know that we're living in a time now to where people can be accepted for living their lives and living in truth and living what they think, living what they believe they are. That's beautiful, and that's a part of a better world, and that's a part of a more reasonable, rational world that makes sense. Not holding people to society's expectations and holding people to stuff that doesn't really matter. And it's sometimes, I don't do enough videos, I see more videos about this. Sometimes it's beautiful to know that certain people have taken the right side of history. I don't think that that's pushing gay stuff on children. Because I've talked about it in the video, I talked about these GOP senators that happen to be gay, that were very homophobic and spoke out against, marriage between a man and a woman, but then they get caught in Coachella sticking their hands down a man's pants. Or they're at a gay bar in Mexico. And it's amazing because this is what gets me. If you're out here and you say, like, I don't want the bad stuff of the gay community, which is like the drinking, the drugs, the crystal meth, all this stuff that comes with the bad part of the homosexual community, LGBT community, I respect that. I will always respect that, and I will always respect people who say, I don't want children to be sexualized. I respect that. But what gets me is, these senators that I talked about, they embody the worst aspects of the gay culture. The one guy I talked about in Ohio was literally having sex with a man in his office. And then the other guy in Illinois was going to gay bars in Mexico and putting money in a man's G-string and going to Coachella and a man got a hand down his pants. Those are the worst aspects of the gay community, and not the good parts, the preservers of culture and all that type of stuff. Being more spiritual and all that type of stuff, being in tune with yourself. That's always got me, is that the people that hate the gay stuff, hate the gay community the worst, are doing the worst. It's like there's good aspects of the black community. There's bad aspects of the black community, which there's enough examples out there. Watch The Wire. There's enough examples out there of bad stereotypes of blacks. There's good and there's bad, right? There's very bad elements of the black community. Malachi York is a great example. Raping all them kids. Running a cult and all that stuff. Look, all I'm saying is this. I don't want to get too much into that, because even when it comes to people I don't like, I don't want to run around here and I'm going to expose gay people. I'm going to expose closeted gay men. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to do that. But if you're out here and you're hiding behind religion and you're using people's identities as a jumping off point for your political career, I'm coming for you every time. And you should be exposed when you do misstep, when you do fall short, because of the indelible harm you've done to these communities. Period. I don't know what I'm thinking about. What's it, Strom Thurmond? Had a black woman. I don't know why that came to my mind just now. Look, my point I'm trying to make is this, though. Do you know why the right goes so crazy about this stuff, and why you have what's the guy in Texas going crazy about the gay stuff in the military, and him going insane about that, and how the military is soft and putting out videos of Russian propaganda? You know what it is? I believe conservatives need homophobia. I think conservatives need somebody to look down on. They need somebody to beat up on constantly. And I think that if they don't have that, I think that they're lesser. And I think there's also a sense that they're losing the culture war. Because if this next generation says, hey, we don't believe in homophobia and racism and all that stuff, we don't want that. These aren't values for us. That's a segment of the culture war they've lost. Because the culture war is always going to be about linking things to like pedophilia. They're like, okay, letting gay people in the military is going to mean there's going to be a lot of pedophiles in the military now. They gay people are pedophiles. And then like, oh, if we let a bunch of gay people in the military, there's going to be a whole lot of lawsuits and stuff. And talking, you know, I read an article yesterday where they were referring to the tailhook scandal back in the 90s, the Air Force, the hotel, and how it's interesting to me because they didn't talk about it as though that was wrong, that those women were molested and raped and groped. They talked about it as though that's why women shouldn't be in the military, because a woman in the military with a skirt, she's going to be, a man can't keep his hands to himself. A man, it's not like we have self-control. We can't control ourselves from ripping her skirt off or panties off, raping her. And he's saying the same thing about gays, that bringing gay people in the military, they're going to be trying to rape men and stuff. Like, what I'm saying is, all of that is interlinked. It's all interlinked. Homophobia and all is interlinked. And so conservatives recognize they're losing a culture war not because they're pushing gay stuff on kids, or Dr. Seuss is being canceled by their own creators, or that, you know, Miss Potato Head is now androgynous. No, it's that they're losing a culture war. And so if they're losing a culture war, then they're losing. You understand? It's like a policeman. If one part of a policeman's equipment doesn't work, he's down. If his gun, that's not just his gun. If one bullet, the gun don't fire. If the taser don't fire, if anything, he needs that to win the fight, because he's always fighting. Because he's going out in the streets knowing the people he's dealing with, a lot of them are committing crimes. And at any time, he might roll up on a car stop and he's in a gunfight. That's how conservatives are. They're always in battle. And they've created this world in which they are in battle. I always talk about it. America is cancel culture. And the idea that, I don't want to go into this thing drags too far, but the idea that America was anything but cancel culture is facetious. On its face. The red scare, the black codes, the lavender scare. Everybody's gay, lavender scare. The red scare, everybody's a communist. What do you think Hoover was doing? Come on, man. America has always been a nation of hate and going after people they didn't like, and using the FBI to go after political enemies. Come on, dude. Wake up. Anyway, I think it's sad that when I saw that, because I do believe that there are some folks take it too far. I read something the other day where they're talking about someone in Europe was saying that we should have pornography for children, that it wouldn't be so hardcore and all that, and that's obviously extreme. And I looked at something, some lady in Oregon wants to make it where black kids, people of color, don't have to pass reading and mathematics to get the high school diploma. That's messed up too. That's sad. And I get it, but I know that the conservatives will always take stuff like that to the extreme to say that, oh, it's racism. I get it. I get why they're saying it, but I always understand that it'll be perverted to mean something else. And it's so sad to me that we're always fighting in this. If you're on the left, you're always fighting. And this thing now with George Soros and Jewish rich billionaires and these rich, the left has never been rich. That's never happened. And if you go back to the Rockefellers and all that, they were buying revolutionaries back then. I read that when I was a kid. And they were going out and buying protesters because you always want to have both sides of the discussion. You know, you always want to have, like RT has conservatives and they have fault lines. They have the left. You know, they have political misfits and stuff. They have left stuff. You want to buy both sides. You want to, because you want to control both sides. You don't want to just, because then you have a blind spot. If it's all you just blowing yourself, you have a blind spot for how everybody thinks about you. And when you do make mistakes. I think that's sad that making a world to where homophobia and race is not okay is something that people on the right feel is a bad thing. And I know the world is never going to be utopia. And I know that people are people. I know that people have their own beliefs, religious beliefs, and philosophical beliefs otherwise. And that's fine. But telling kids that, which really, this is just me. I didn't see that as, oh, it's they're pushing gay stuff. I saw it as this boy has figured out that he feels like he's transgender or whatever, and his friends accept him as such. And I thought that was just so beautiful in that moment that they like him as a friend, not as a boy or whatever. And that's not pushing homosexuality, that's pushing acceptance and love. And that's something we need more of in this world. To come to people where they are, to accept people for where they are now, hoping that maybe they grow, hoping that maybe they mature, hoping that maybe one day they become something else than what they are now, but still respecting them for their peace and their joy and their love and what they bring to the table. And to me, that is so beautiful. And the fact that the right would attack that, that is sort of putrid. Thanks for listening.